So thank you everybody for joining me today to Module 2 of our Canadian Readiness Program. I hope that this module goes smoothly today. We have 2 hours. We're going to take a break kind of like in the middle, so prepare for that. And with that, the module has, during these 2 hours, we will have Erin Thomson. So thank you, Erin, for joining us again today. She is going to walk us through the Canadian technology industry trends. And you're going to learn what's going on in North America for the technology business, where obviously you guys perform. And after that, I will have like a theory session about building your go-to market. And this session will kind of like guide you through the rest of the modules that you will see and you will hear about in the next coming weeks, because it connects your strategy end to end. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, Erin, so you can share your content with us. And thank you for joining us today.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Erin.
Hello. Hello, Erin.
How's everyone doing today?
Really good.
Great.
How are you doing?
Oh, pretty well, pretty well. It's almost Friday. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's Friday in Australia.
Yeah, it's Friday somewhere. All right, can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So, as Vivi mentioned, the first part of the module today will be to take a look at some of the key technology trends in Canada and the related opportunities. So I'll do a bit of a recap. I think most of you were here for the first session last week, but just a brief background on me. I currently work as an analyst in technology and process improvement in cooperative and experiential education at the University of Waterloo. That's a mouthful. I have over 10 years of experience in the Canadian tech industry, working for a whole variety of organizations, small to large. And I also have a Bachelor of Commerce from McGill University, concentrating in information systems and entrepreneurship, and a minor in economics. All right, so enough about me. The agenda for today, so the first thing we'll look at, we'll spend some time just revisiting and kind of summarizing some of the key factors that we saw back in the first module about, what kind of makes the technology industry in Canada. So after that, we'll go on to talk about the trends and opportunities here in Canada. So the first one being business at a distance, the second one being embracing e-commerce, the third one being the rise of digital media, then reach for the cloud, smart everything or the Internet of Things, the real value from artificial intelligence, and the blockchain revolution. And then I'm going to aim to leave about 15 to 20 minutes or so at the end just for a discussion, for us to share our thoughts and our expertise in these areas. So just to give you a little bit of foreshadowing into the discussion, if you can start thinking about some of these things as we're going along through the presentation, I think it'll be really helpful because, I think what makes the sessions valuable is if we can each share our own expertise in our areas and bring that to the table. So I'll just throw a few questions out there for food for thought as we're going through this. And then at the end, it would be interesting to get your thoughts on some of these trends. So the first one is, which of these trends are most relevant or applicable to your business? Are there any specific opportunities or other trends that you're seeing that maybe weren't mentioned? And is there anything you can think of where you'll need to be adjusting your product or your service in the future to be able to capitalize on these trends? All right, so first, let's recap some of the success drivers that we talked about in Module 1, Topic 1. So of course, we have a strong university and college system in Canada, which not only means that we have a highly educated workforce, but it also helps drive research and innovation on leading edge technologies. Again, we have a significant network of innovation hubs to support entrepreneurs and accelerate business growth. We have strong government support and many incentives for entrepreneurship and innovation. We touched on some of these last Tuesday. However, I would also encourage you to check out the Business Benefits Finder. I've included a link in the slides. It's a great tool to help you explore government incentives that may be available to your business and to potentially compare different incentives in different regions. Canada has both political and financial stability, so it's a safe environment for investments. We have immigration policies that help to augment our technology workforce and bring in new ideas and entrepreneurship from around the globe. And finally, we have a relatively high quality of life on several fronts. And this is important because in the past, there was a lot of concern that the Canadian tech industry was just going to completely evaporate and there would be a major brain drain down to the United States. But what we're really seeing today here is that tech talent wants to stay in Canada. And because of that, it's keeping the technology ecosystem here strong. And as a result of all these factors coming together, we're at the forefront of some of the most leading edge technologies. So next, we can take a look at each of these in the Canadian context. All right. So next slide, please. So in this segment, looking at trends and opportunities, I've ordered the trends from the ones that I think have the most immediate impact to the ones that are still kind of in their infancy and the full potential isn't going to be realized until the future. These trends are all interconnected as well. So we're going to look at them one by one, but in reality, they're very much dependent on each other and feeding off each other in order to grow and evolve. And the other point I want to make is underpinning each and every one of these trends is the vast amounts of digital data that's being generated every day. So that's really important and foundational for all of these trends to grow. And in every single one of these areas, it's going to require improving, or in some cases, completely rethinking how we store data, how we analyze data, and our data management practices in order to get value. All right, next. So the first trend we'll look at is business at a distance. And I think we all just felt a little bit of the pain on this one. So of course, COVID has sharply accelerated the digital transformation, and organizations that previously had little or no digital presence or mobile workforce are now finding themselves having to conduct their business entirely remotely. Research conducted on behalf of Accenture Canada shows that pre-pandemic, most Canadian employees, 82% of us, worked primarily from an external workplace. But as of July 2020, that was down to 27%, with 59% of us now working remotely. There are some competing forces at play right now. So on the one hand, the economic impact of the pandemic might make businesses reluctant to invest in new software projects if they're worried about just surviving. But on the other hand, businesses see that in order to survive, they need to have the tools to be able to conduct their business online. So tools that support this are in high demand, whereas maybe some of the other software investments might be taking a back seat. And I will note as well, this is really specific to doing work and business online. We'll talk about e-commerce coming up. The other major impact here is that work culture has undergone a major paradigm shift. So previous rationales for not being able to work remotely or conduct business remotely have been thrown out the window, and there's no going back. In the future, even after the pandemic, many Canadian workers will continue to work remotely. According to Statistics Canada, for businesses that indicate that teleworking was potentially applicable to their workforce, about 1/4 of them responded being likely or very likely to offer more employees the possibility of working remotely after the pandemic is over. And 14% were likely or very likely to actually require it. And according to research on behalf of ADP Canada, 45% of survey respondents indicated they would prefer to work remotely at least 3 days a week. Another 15% indicated they'd like to work remotely 1 or 2 days a week. So from both the employer side and from the employee side, there's a large interest in continuing to work remotely even post-pandemic. And while some Canadian businesses are planning this already, even the ones that may still be reluctant might be somewhat forced. We've been working this way since March, and generally speaking, work is still getting done. Again, albeit with some hiccups sometimes, but it's getting done. And it'll be a tough sell to tell employees that they have to come back full time if their job isn't being directly hindered by being remote. And as a result of this, companies that are actively and successfully adopting digital solutions now will have an edge on their competition post-pandemic. All right, next slide. So some specific opportunities in this area. So the first and most obvious, of course, is productivity and collaboration platforms. So there's the common platforms, of course, that everybody knows about, such as Teams or Slack, but there can be industry-specific opportunities and niche platforms. So for example, unique offerings for online event hosting or telehealth platforms. Remote learning is also significant because businesses, of course, need a way to share knowledge amongst the remote workers and also provide the learning opportunities that would normally come in a classroom. And also, schools and universities in Canada, in many cases, have moved their teaching at this point completely online. And at least some portion of that is likely to continue as we move into the future. Many organizations also relied on their office infrastructure in the past as being a key source of their security, but with their workers being all over the place and using different home networks, different devices, not very much physical security, they're facing a whole new set of security challenges that they've never faced before, and they're going to need tools and expertise to meet this and enable their mobile workforce. And lastly, as organizations grapple with this massive digital transformation, many of them are going to be looking for external IT service providers to help. So they're going to say, you know what, this isn't my core competency, or I don't have the internal resources to manage this. So they're going to look for external support in order to set them up for a successful digital future. Some of the interesting players in this space in Canada include Desire to Learn, who created a product called the Brightspace Learning Management Platform, which is used around the world and I believe is being used right now to facilitate the public education in Ontario. There's Dialogue Health, who have Canada's largest virtual care team and a proprietary technology platform to deliver telehealth solutions. There's eCentire, which is a cybersecurity company who provide managed detection and response services. Planbox, who offer an agile innovation management platform. There's Alvic Networks, who provide cloud-based network monitoring and management software. And lastly, Thinkific, which provides a platform where anyone can create online course content and manage membership sites. So lots of really cool innovation happening in this space. Next slide. Our next trend, which again is closely following the previous one, is the growth of e-commerce in Canada. So pre-pandemic e-commerce was already on the rise, but of course it's just completely exploded since. According to Statista research, retail e-commerce sales of new physical goods in Canada stood at $22 billion in 2017 and grew to $25.3 billion in 2019. So that's a 15% growth over a 2-year period. In 2020, retail e-commerce in Canada totaled $28.4 billion, and that's a 12% growth over a 1-year period. So you can see the explosion. Larger players have tended to dominate the e-commerce landscape in Canada, specifically Amazon. And according to research by Business Development Canada, only 46% of small to medium enterprises plan to sell online after the pandemic. However, the growth of e-commerce is going to continue. We may not see the same spike that we just saw this past year, but we will continue to see growth. Statista projects that by 2024, retail e-commerce in Canada will reach $33.3 billion. So this is a huge missed opportunity for Canadian SMEs. According to that BDC research paper, the main challenges that they're facing include providing a good customer experience, 46%, developing the right skills, 33%, ensuring profitability, 31%, delivering on time, 27%, and financing investments, 23%. So this is where an opportunity exists to help these SMEs to bridge these gaps, as e-commerce is no longer going to be optional post-pandemic, and consumers are going to just continue to demand more and better service from their online experience. Next slide. All right, so a few of the opportunities in the e-commerce space include, again, of course, platforms that enable digital storefronts, integration with physical point of sale systems, and secure payment processing. We've already seen that come to the forefront. Technical services to help maintain these digital storefronts, and also to manage any related data generated and any underlying systems, as well as online customer service offerings. And lastly, there's going to be a growing need for software solutions that enable logistics providers to be more efficient and to be more transparent with their retailers and customers. Some of the key players operating in this space in Canada include Lightspeed Point of Sale, who are a major global point of sale and e-commerce software provider. MDF Commerce, who provides strategic sourcing, e-commerce, supply chain collaboration, and e-marketplace solutions. Kinaxis, who are a supply chain management, sales, and operation planning software company. Descartes Logistics, who offer the industry's broadest array of logistics management applications and the most comprehensive offering of global trade-related intelligence. And lastly, the Canadian darling Shopify, which you'll likely recall, Canada's largest public company, providing e-commerce and point-of-sale systems. All right, next slide. Our next trend is the rise of digital media, again, closely related with some of these earlier trends and the impacts of the pandemic. So digital media, including online games, books, social media, videos, similar story. It was already on a growth trajectory pre-pandemic and has completely exploded since, as people are trying to figure out what to do with all their time at home. According to eMarketer, the average time spent per person per day in Canada on digital media surpassed traditional media in 2019, and this gap is expected to continue to widen. By 2022, they predict that on average, 5 hours and 28 minutes will be spent per person per day on digital media, whereas only 4 hours and 29 minutes will be spent on traditional media. And again, according to eMarketer, digital video in particular is extremely popular in Canada, bolstered by the heavy usage of YouTube and Netflix. In fact, digital video's share of time spent in relation to TV is higher in Canada than in any other country in our global forecast. And this was also as of their 2019 report. At this point, there's much more variety in the video streaming landscape in Canada. You know, we've got the Amazon Primes, the Disney Pluses, you know, the HBOs. So that's only going to continue. Statista Research ranks Canada as the 7th largest market as well for digital ad spending worldwide. So falling in line with our consumption, we're also a major market for digital advertising. And in the future, eMarketer projects that the consumption of digital media in Canada will continue to grow, again at the expense of traditional media. As these very immediate services proliferate, the competition is only going to intensify, and because of that, consumers are increasingly going to become more selective about which digital services and media they spend their time and money on. Statista projects that by 2025, digital ad spending in Canada is going to reach $9.7 billion US. This represents a 32% growth over the digital ad spending in 2020. So again, along with the trends we're seeing in the consumption, we'll see the same trends following with the digital advertising. All right, next slide. Some of the specific opportunity areas resulting from the rise of digital media include digital advertising services, in particular search advertising and video advertising. Storytelling. So this one is really about organizations trying to communicate their complex messages about their brand and about their products in very concise, bite-sized digital formats. So the ability or the skill set to be able to translate these into really compelling, captive narratives will be key. And lastly, digital content creation and management. So the creation of games, articles, videos as a product itself or as a service for other companies. as well as the supporting tools to enable the creation and management of such content. Again, we have some interesting players in this space in Canada. So the first one being Hootsuite, a leading social media management platform. We have Cossette, who call themselves the home of the creative, digital design, content, strategy, social, and superpowers. We have Vidyard, who offer software to host videos and analyze video performance. We have BB & Co. Strategic Storytelling, who use the timeless power of storytelling to help organizational and corporate leaders transform their brands, businesses, and people. And lastly, Sidley, who are an international creative services firm. Okay, next slide. The next trend on the horizon is reach for the cloud. So organizations in Canada have generally bought into the value proposition that cloud IT brings. And according to research conducted by Scalar Decisions back in 2017, almost 3/4 of Canadian organizations have migrated at least some part of their IT delivery to the cloud. However, in a joint study between Ryerson University and IDC, the authors noted that the Canadian market has tended to lag behind other markets, particularly in the US, in cloud adoption. However, based on a number of indicators, the shift to the cloud in Canada is a matter of if, or when, not if. So this will also generate pent-up demand. The fact that we've been sort of lagging behind for a while just means in the future we're going to have to accelerate in order to catch up. Additionally, the same research notes that IT decision makers in Canada indicate that the cloud is their long-term platform of choice ahead of all other surveyed markets, including the US. This was based on their responses to the question, my organization views the public cloud as our dominant long-term platform strategy for meeting our IT needs. Looking into the future, I think Deloitte Canada sums it up best in their paper, The Cloud is Here, Embrace the Transition, where they say, and I quote, embracing the cloud will soon be a matter of sheer survival. So whether organizations are ready for it or not, the cloud has to be part of their IT model in the future in order to remain competitive, or in some cases just to function. And because of this rising cloud adoption and the pent-up demand, the need for specialized cloud skill sets is going to become increasingly strong. And according to ISM Canada, already talent poaching and frequent turnover are disrupting cloud migration and operations. Next slide. Right. In terms of opportunities related to cloud, I see two major areas. The first is any services that can help to fill the cloud skills gap. So whether it's through workforce augmentation, cloud recruitment strategies, training to upskill existing IT workers, or cloud consulting, anything to really help businesses with their cloud migration projects. As well, industry-specific cloud software as a service offerings. So for example, in healthcare, in finance, really the opportunities here are limitless. Some of the key players in the cloud space in Canada include Oro, which is a Canadian public cloud provider, Leonovis, which is a provider of cloud solution software that optimizes enterprise data storage and management, Point Click Care, who are the #1 cloud-based healthcare software provider, FreshBooks, who provide cloud-based small business accounting software, and last but not least, Alida, who are a cloud-based customer intelligence platform. All right. Next slide. Our next trend is smart everything, or more specifically, the Internet of Things. It's evident that interconnected things are already all around us, from our smart home security systems, to our smart lights, to our smart thermostats. The technology is already very apparent in our day-to-day lives. There's also several mature industry applications for the Internet of Things. According to Discovered Intelligence Canada, the most mature solutions are asset and inventory management, connected cars, fleet management, logistics, predictive maintenance, remote field services, remote surveillance, and smart grids. However, in the future, the opportunities seem virtually limitless. I think CompTIA sums this up the best when they say, everything that can be connected will be connected. And as well, as complementary technologies rise, we'll increasingly see the capability for smart decision-making in devices. So consider the power of the AIoT, the artificial intelligence in the Internet of Things. An article in the Geneva Business News summarizes this concept. The cloud provides a platform for hosting intelligent software, networking, and bringing a large number of IoT devices together, provisioning them with a large amount of data, and enabling smart decisions to be made without human intervention. Next slide. All right. Opportunities around the Internet of Things in Canada include the development of industry-specific IoT solutions, expanding upon the mature solutions already mentioned. So one of the interesting things here is Canada is really primarily a country focused on industries such as agriculture, energy, mining, forestry, all these primary industries. So there is a huge opportunity here to capture these specific industries because the data collection just hasn't been there. And that's really what the Internet of Things brings. The ability to collect this data and then apply additional technologies like artificial intelligence so that we can make sure we're being as efficient and reducing waste as much as possible in these industries. As well, IoT security. So connecting all these things to the internet comes with a unique set of security challenges. They weren't necessarily designed from the forefront with security in mind. So that requires a unique security skill set. And as well, solutions that enable the vast amounts of data that are going to be generated by these things to be collected and analyzed for further decision making. Some of the most important players in the space in Canada include Bell Canada, who are one of the major Canadian telco companies, and they offer a whole suite of IoT solutions, smart buildings, smart cities, you name it. MyoVision, who offer smart traffic platforms to help cities modernize their existing traffic signals. ShopLogix, who provide a smart factory platform. Raven Telemetry, who offer the improvement platform for smart manufacturing. And Livable Cities, which are a division of LED roadway lighting, whose smart street lighting products are used worldwide in over 60 countries. Next slide. All right, so now we have the real value from artificial intelligence. Canada is a global leader in artificial intelligence. Invest in Canada, which is an arm's length Government of Canada organization, notes in their paper entitled Canada, a leader in artificial intelligence, that some of the leading AI researchers are already working in Canada. And these include Yoshua Bengio, who's at the Université de Montréal, and he's one of the founding fathers of the deep learning movement. Geoffrey Hinton at the University of Toronto, who's the godfather of AI. And Richard S. Sutton at the University of Alberta, who's the most cited researcher worldwide in reinforcement learning. As well, Invest in Canada notes that Canada ranks 4th out of a study of 54 countries in the Global AI Index for its global competitiveness in AI implementation, innovation, and investment. And again, while AI applications such as personal assistants or customer service chatbots are already prevalent, many sources, including Forbes and CompTIA, are indicating that there's still a lot of work to be done before organizations can really realize the full potential of AI in their day-to-day businesses. In an article from The Verge, Kai-Fu Lee, who's a venture capitalist and former AI researcher, describes the current moment as an age of implementation. So one where the AI technology starts spilling out of the lab and into the world. And as this happens, we're increasingly going to see AI permeate nearly every industry, from finance to retail to medicine to industry to energy. However, as companies delve further into AI, they're increasingly going to start evaluating which applications are truly delivering value and outperforming humans versus which ones are just hype. So for one thing, some companies advertising AI technology do not even use AI. There's a commonly cited study from a UK investment firm, MMC Ventures, which found that 40% of tech companies that describe themselves as AI startups had no evidence of machine learning or other modern AI algorithms in their business model. As well, many sources are citing an AI bubble similar to the dot-com bubble in the 1990s. In an article on this topic in Medium, the author Vikash Madithil speaks about how in the future, we'll stop thinking that AI will solve all our problems or cause our inevitable downfall, and we'll face the true triumphs and challenges it'll bring. Next slide. Some of the opportunities in AI include troubleshooting AI, as well as specific expertise with AI algorithm development and AI software development will be in demand. These skill sets tend to differ from those that are typically associated with traditional software development. Forbes also noted the interesting concept of trainers and explainers. So trainers would be those who are enhancing the performance of AI, making it more human, making it better recognize more data. And the explainers would be performing AI autopsies. So trying to understand how the AI came about particular results. And again, data management expertise and solutions underpins all of this. As AI requires vast amounts of data to learn, organizations are increasingly going to need to refine their data management practices to ensure that their AI solutions can actually perform. Some of the key players in this space in Canada include Element AI, who were very recently, I think, acquired by ServiceNow. The acquisition totaled $230 million US dollars to accelerate AI innovation in their Now workflow platform. There's Darwin AI, who consider themselves an explainable AI company, enabling enterprises to build AI that they can trust. There's Deep Genomics, who use AI to discover treatments for genetic diseases. Daisy Intelligence, and their logo actually does look like that. That's not your screen. They provide AI-powered platform to help retailers and insurers drive higher profits by optimizing their price and promotion mix. And lastly, Blue Wave AI, whose distributed AI platform optimizes the operation of smart grids, microgrids, and electric vehicle fleet charging installations. All right, next slide. Okay. Our last trend is the blockchain revolution. As I'm sure many of you know, blockchain technology really just came to the forefront about 10 years ago with the launch of the Bitcoin cryptocurrency and the idea of a shared decentralized ledger of transactions. Canada is really known as a world leader in blockchain technology. To quote an article from Open Ledger Insights, back in 2018, Deloitte conducted a survey which targeted companies around the globe with a focus on blockchain technology. According to its results, 51% of those surveyed in Canada are currently investing in blockchain. As a comparison, the US joined the movement towards blockchain adoption in last place, with only 24% of respondents currently investing in blockchain technology. Notably, out of all the respondents from Canada, only 5% said they would not be investing in blockchain. Also, Canada is the home of Vitalik Buterin, who revolutionized blockchain technology by describing how the technology could be used for other applications besides money, besides Bitcoin. And he eventually went on to create the Ethereum smart contract functionality. In Canada, the financial services sector is really leading the charge in blockchain. So in 2017, the Bank of Canada teamed up with Payments Canada, a central payments processor, and R3, a distributed database technology company, to conduct research focused on how blockchain solutions can improve clearing and settlement of high-value interbank payments. As well, in 2019, 5 major banks in Canada announced that they would allow personal identity verification using Secure Key Technologies' Verified.me digital ID system. While blockchain technology has the capacity to revolutionize how all types of transactions take place and are recorded, and to remove the middlemen from many industries, amongst the trends we've reviewed today, it's probably the furthest away from realizing its full potential. In a Harvard Business Review article entitled "The Truth About Blockchain," the authors noted that if Bitcoin is like an early email, is blockchain decades away from reaching its full potential? In our view, the answer is a qualified yes. All right, next slide. So some of the specific opportunities around blockchain include blockchain development. So again, as organizations further start to experiment and dip their toe in the water and get a feel for blockchain, they're increasingly going to be looking specifically for blockchain developers. And blockchain consulting, which can range all the way from just explaining what the blockchain technology is to identifying specific opportunities for business through to project implementation. Some of the key players in the blockchain space in Canada include L4 Ventures, who are building Web3, a decentralized web that removes middlemen and incentivizes users to contribute. They conduct cutting-edge crypto-economic research, build core infrastructure, and help projects grow. There's also Hive Blockchain Technologies, who are in the business of providing infrastructure solutions to the blockchain industry, focusing on mining and sale of digital currencies. There's Blockchain Foundry, who are a leading North American blockchain development and consulting firm. There's Convergence.tech, who are a leading transformation consultancy and blockchain solutions provider. And BitAccess, who provide software services to power fintech businesses in over 15 countries, and whose products include BTMs, Bitcoin ATMs, and enterprise wallets. So to briefly recap, the key factors that enabled the tech industry in Canada, including our strong university system, government support, financial and political stability, and our quality of life, have really enabled all of these trends to flourish. And as well, in covering some of the key tech trends in Canada, I think the main takeaway is, regardless of where your expertise is in the IT industry, where your business operates, what industries are most applicable to you or which trends are most relevant to you, I think if your company is looking to capitalize on these in the future, Canada is at the forefront of every single one of them, and the opportunities here are plentiful. So with that, I think we'll wrap and move over to a bit of a discussion. Vivi, I don't know for time how we're doing. I did want to get everyone's input.
We are doing okay.
Okay.
On time. Like we can take like maybe a 10-minute question and open for discussion, and then we will have a 5-minute break, and we will continue with the second part of the session.
Great, excellent. So this is really an open discussion. I mean, I've put these questions here just to stimulate some thoughts, but really, I'm just curious because each one of you are experts in your particular areas. I'm an IT generalist, but I'm very curious if there's any of these trends you're really, picking up on or driving forward in your business, and what you're planning in the future.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. Maybe I can explain sometime about us. We are a company that systematizes improvement and excellent models in order to have more control over managing areas and processes in the companies. For example, you mentioned that cloud is very important. We are working like that, but I don't know if you know something about companies that need some of software to control the management business, for example.
So software to control the management business. Could you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by that?
Yeah, for example, ISO 9000, we help to the company to control with our software the processes about quality standards. For example, ISO 9000. For example, with us, the companies can taking better decisions and take or maybe they can grow and facility they work the different work of the areas in the companies.
Yeah.
See, something like that.
Yeah, I think if your platform helps with ISO certification, I mean, I don't have any specific companies off the top of my mind that would be pursuing that, but I think you might definitely want to do some research in Ontario. So Ontario is really kind of the manufacturing hotbed here in Canada, and I know ISO can apply to many different industries and fields, but I think in particular for manufacturing, Ontario would be a good starting place to start researching some of those manufacturers that might be able to take advantage of your cloud-based platform. So that's great. That's an excellent example.
Okay, thank you. We are going to search in Ontario. Thank you.
And Juan and Vivi, I don't know if you have any other thoughts to add on that question.
Depending on the product, depending on the need, there are different startups and medium enterprises doing different things in here, whether it's for ISO certifications or QMS when it comes to FDA regulated devices, or even only for managing RFPs. So I know a company of a friend of mine that it's doing right now. It's a startup that has been there for a few years filling the gap for the request for proposal workflow called Lupio, and that's a Canadian company as well.
Excellent, thank you.
I just have a question for you, Erin, regarding, because this information that you presented today is really important for knowing like their competitors, right? And you deep dive into key players. Can you describe the company profiles for these competitors? Were they all big, or did you select big and small and medium?
I think it's really a smorgasbord of big and small and medium. So I think it's a pretty good cross section, I would say. I did try to pick sort of particular Canadian companies. So again, obviously we have all the well-known, the Microsofts and the HPs and all of those players here as well. But I really tried to hone in on Canadian companies of a variety of sizes, operating in a variety, I mean, they're obviously all technology companies, but operating in a variety of industries, whether it's finance, whether it's energy, whether it's, transportation and logistics. So just to kind of get a sense of what's out there and what some of the ideas are. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting activity going on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Excuse me, I have a question. Yeah.
Yes.
There is a way so we can meet some business in Canada. They can buy our products. I mean, software products or programs, stuff like that. Through this program, no, actually.
I think Vivi, do you wanna take that question?
Yeah, well, through this program, we could do some business development and let's say try to connect you to one of these key players. But the program is more as a learning opportunity and as a market learning opportunity, but it's not to find leads per se. I don't know if we have Luis Felipe and Maria. The people from ProColombia are the ones that enable more business development than us on this program. So I think it would be more directly through the ProColombia key players here. So maybe, I don't know, Luis or Maria, if you would like to take this question.
Yes, Vivi. Okay, so yeah, the program, like Vivi said, is not meant to help you guys find business in Canada, but we have events that we can look at that can help you guys find business in Canada. So which company is the one talking?
Well, actually, it's I suppose it's any kind of company, no?
No. Just to see who is your advisor in ProColombia, so we can tell the person that you are interested in events in Canada. So when we have like the final agenda for this year, they can share with you all the information.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, we are working right now in the papers you guys, Vivian sent to us in the beginning. It's like the curriculum of the company or something like that. We are working in this paper, which describe every, so that
every
paper
aspect of your company, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's going to be like the presentation. So I was thinking it's in this program, it's not only find probably possible customers, but also maybe support or even partnership in Canada, so we can work together, developing and stuff like that, because we are our company is for develop.
So Gabriel, to add on Maria's answer, and I mean I'm Luis from ProColombia. I'm based here in Toronto. So what we can do, I mean, this program, as Maria was saying, is intended to prepare the companies for the Canadian market, and of course, knowing and realizing all the resources that the country offers, and identifying the potential clients, your competitors, your advantages, your disadvantages, to be able to actually afterwards, when you're, let's say, more ready, go ahead and look for a partner or a client or customers, or even define the sales strategy. So we are open to keep working. I mean, until after the program finishes, to actually, I mean, keep on working together to find these partners and clients, and I mean, together. So this program is, of course, like a support in this process, but at the end, the idea is to, of course, sell in the market.
Yeah, of course. Well, I just shoot this question right now is to testing or to see if I can find if I can maybe relay in this program to do something like that, no? Like I say, no, probably or found support or partnership or even customers in Canada to promote our products. But it's okay. No, I think I should this question right now just to check what I can do. But I think at the end of the program we'll see if we are able to do something, or maybe you can guys help us a little bit more, or maybe we can help you. No, in certain ways or stuff like that. Like you say, no, it's for everybody to work together. I think it's the time to join forces and work together around the world.
Exactly. Like this program is like your step one of getting into market, right? Like this is for you to prepare for it, to strategize, and as I explained during the introduction, not many companies really spend some time looking at their business plan and their value proposition, and then when they go to market, they hit some walls because they didn't prepare for it. So this program was designed as a step one, like let's get your value proposition documented. So when you go and do business development, you have every question that any Canadian customer has on their mind, and then you can actually document it and present that value proposition with an actual plan. Like this is our plan, this is our company, this is what we do, this is why we do it, and this is why you should select us instead of these competitors. So this program is that step one, giving you the opportunity to document those key areas of your value proposition. So when you come to Canada, you don't hit walls or you're not prepared enough to answer questions to your partners, your vendors, or your customers, right?
That's great. Well, actually, thank you very much. That was more information the way what I was expecting, and it's great. So I'll be here anyway. Thank you very much.
Good.
Erin.
Yes.
Erin, about this exercise, the question that you put on.
Yes.
I have some comments.
Okay.
So about the first question, I work for a tech company. So for us, like almost every trend is very relevant for us because we offer agile software development. So we can help to with it. But I see something, or I was thinking about the third question, is because we offer as well staff augmentation, and maybe what you show it here could be an opportunity for changing my speech. I mean, for example, if I'm offering staff augmentation, I can say that I can fill in the cloud skills gap of your company through talent augmentation. Yeah,
right.
Like something according with this trend, especially with the reach for the cloud.
Absolutely. Yep. No, it's I mean, there's going to be a huge gap. You can see it pretty much every day in terms of trying to move these cloud projects along. So I think that's great. I think yes, we have Luis Felipe with a hand up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had it like that before, but
okay. Sorry.
now that I have the attention, I may say it's great that, for example, Gabriel is now thinking in the best way to enter the market and to approach the market, because not in every case it's always like, okay, I want to sell directly to a customer, but sometimes, and I think maybe most of the times, the best way to enter is through a local company or a local partner that already knows the local market and that can help you through the process of landing to Canada. So I mean, it's great that Gabriel is already thinking in, okay, what's my next step? So yeah, I mean, and we can always like help reaching out to potential partners or clients whenever we're ready to go.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. You too.
All right, and I think Pedro has his hand up.
Yes, Erin, I have a question for you. You mentioned, let's say, some of the global trends with the specific variables and leadership that is happening in Canada, which is good. But my assumption, if we want to go and define a really a specific proposal of value for the Canadian market, is that we need to combine two different sources. One is we need to be, let's say, really good in terms of the knowledge for some of the specific market niche. So I'm just curious, my first question is, are we planning to have some kind of market research tools or suggestions? So let's say if we define that we are interested to develop or to know in a more deep the numbers and what are the main market needs, let's say for Internet of Things, just to name one from that perspective. So let's say that that's one input that we want to have, because the other input for sure are the company capabilities. So, okay, what are my resources? What are my possible different options? So combining those two things at the end of the day is that we are creating something that can differentiate, something that can really be focused in the market. So what I'm wondering here is how much of that information, the first one that I just mentioned, is the specific set of tools to know, let's say we want to have more information about Internet of Things in British Columbia, what are the tendencies, what are, I don't know, the different projects that people is expecting in those kind of things, because British Columbia is more focused in tourism, things like that, or perhaps Ontario. And at the same time, assuming that we have those tools, assuming that we have some kind of capabilities in our company, and we want to target that, it's, do you guys have in mind some kind of mentoring to validate our proposals? My understanding is that we want to have at the end of the day some kind of proposal of value. So I want to be sure how much of these topics that I have been talking are really included in this kind of workshop. Are we planning to have access to some of these resources to know more specific information? Because so far, these are kind of global trends. So want to be sure about that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So I think I can let Vivi speak to some of the specific product offerings that are coming and the next steps. But just to answer your question, I think you're absolutely on the right track. So we're covering off here, some of the key trends and where they're impacting Canada, and what sort of the key players are, and where some of the opportunities lie, maybe specifically. But I think what you'll need to identify is, again, where does your business play? Do any of those areas, are some of them more interesting to you than others, or did you see or hear something in here that sort of twigged you to say, oh, the Internet of Things in Canada, okay, there's a really big opportunity there because, of all the primary industries. I'm going to go, I want to maybe focus on mining. Our company has some experience with other customers that have done projects in mining. So maybe let me look into that a little bit more. What's going on, with the mining industry and the Internet of Things. So I think this is just kind of the jumping off point to start to say, okay, there's this area, there's that area, and then I want to go a little bit deeper and see exactly where my business is filling a gap here in Canada. And then Vivi, I'll let you maybe speak to some of the, if there's any specific tools that can be shared.
Yeah, so and we shared those tools already in module 1. If you see the presentations they have from me, Danny Ho, and also Erin when she introduced Canada, we share with you our research on links, right? Like pointing you in the right direction. So when we talk about like market, we send you the links about the census. We send you the links about tools like for industries as well. So if you go through the notes and if you go through the links that we provided in module 1, you will find all of that research already provided to you.
Yeah, Vivi, thanks for the clarification. So I already have some of them. And I guess that I'm familiar with that one because I was in that session. But maybe my question is, once we use some of those tools, or maybe are those tools really providing this level of detail to create a proposable value
Yes,
for
they do.
our Colombian companies? That would be my question, because you guys
They
you are already familiar with them. So I want to be sure that that expectation is correct.
Exactly. So when you go, for example, and you want to create like an example that I can give you that it comes to my mind because I did it recently, is like you're defining your buyer persona, right? There's companies profiles of, like, for example, if you're offering services to companies, not customers per se, there's company profiles of like what is the workforce for those companies look like, right? So there's links, and all of the links are provided. If you don't see the links, you can reach out to me, of course, and I can give you the links directly. Like you can drop me an email and say like, look, I don't find the census data. Like I don't know how to use it, and we can talk about it. Yeah, of course. And I guess the plan at the end, when we have this living document at the end, it will be for I don't know. Luis or Maria can comment on that, but we will have some one-on-one sessions with us as consulting company, with you guys going through your living document and seeing where you have the gaps, so we can validate your own research, right?
Perfect. Thank you for clarification.
All right. So the learning objectives for today, right, is to understand your value proposition. How can you gain market share and increase the quality and quantity of prospective leads? How to prepare for that? And I guess it goes to, I guess it was Gabriel who was asking the question. How can I gain leads? How can I enter the market? I guess by preparing these questions or preparing your go-to-market strategy, it will get you there. And as I said before, this is the first step for you to enter the Canadian market. So the idea at the end of all of these is that you have a plan to gain market share in your target segment. The points of discussions for today will be from mission to vision. How do you need, like, how your strategy looks like, from marketing, product, services, pricing, advertising, distribution, and sales. Like, what are the key questions that you need to ask yourself so you can go to market in Canada? So with that, let me just start that every go-to-market strategy starts with the value proposition. And you need to understand that Canadians are very benefit based. So you need to outline your soft benefits first. Like, soft benefits is like, are you convenient? Are you fast? Like, what are you solving for the customer, right? But more from the perception type of view, right? And then go into your hard benefits. Are you saving time? Are you saving money? Are you simplifying a process? Are you automating a process? So those hard benefits into what is your product or services providing to the customer, right? And then the final one is productivity, right? Like, how is this making like your customers more productive? How is this making, or your product or service, how is making the life better for your customer? Like, how is it making it seamless? So start there, articulate first the value proposition of your product and service. And if you have that figured out, your strategy can be outlined for everything, from how you do marketing, how do you price your product, how do you sell your product. So that's the first place to start, is to start with the benefits. So I'm going to stop here because I want to show you a video. And this video, I will send that. If you have watched it before, it will be important. I won't put all the whole video, but I want you to hear this Tech Talk speaker, or he's an influencer of business. He talks about like value proposition and why certain companies are more successful than others. And there's a key piece that I want you to listen to before I continue with this go-to-market. And please let me know if you can hear okay. All right, let me just...
Pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's
Can you
Apple
hear
or Martin
okay?
Luther King or
Yes.
Okay, good.
the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
And I want to stop there, and I will send this link and show hands if you have seen it before.
Nope.
All right, some of you have seen it before, so that is important. I want you to go and see it. It is very inspirational. It really catches the essence of what we're trying to do here with this Canadian Readiness Program. And it's something that it will help you define your strategy going forward, because how he described in the video of like how you need to do your value proposition is exactly how Canadians like talk about value proposition. Show me why should I care, and that's what I want you to focus. What he describing in this video is the golden circle, is a theory by Simon Sinek. Here I have put the source of the video and the links, but as he explained it, you need to go from the why to the how to the what. The why is why, like, you are not here just to make money. Try to express like the purpose. What is your cause? What do you believe that you're doing? What are the problems that you're trying to solve with your product and service? Why customers care about to like selecting you, select your product or your service? That is something that you need to think about and start adding that as part of the strategy that moves forward your business, especially entering here Canada. How do you do what you do? Like, you know how you do your business. So it is important that you highlight, like, this is what we believe, this is why we care, this is why you should care, and this is how we do it, and this is what we do. Like, for example, we do content learning, we do Internet of Things, we do blockchain, we do AI, or we give you the best agile talent that there is. But why should we care, right? So I'm gonna leave this here because I think it's very inspirational, and it is something that every company should do to really showcase their value proposition, to do business, right? So with that, that's how you build your mission statement, right? Like, you collect what you do, how you do it, and why you do it, and then you put it in a way that creates your succinct mission statement, right? Like, those components. And if you see any mission statement, or the great ones, right, they are very succinct, and they are specific into the why, the how, and the what, right? So I'm going to give you this example. Erin showcased this company. This is an e-learning company. They develop e-learning courses and classes. So they are saying here, like, we are a global company with locations around the world, but the work doesn't stop there. The D2L mission is to deliver innovative solutions that transform the way the world learns. We believe in a better world where learning can be accessible, engaging, and inspiring. So just with that, they are telling you a story. They are telling you learning for us is special. Learning for us should be accessible for the world. So in a very succinct way, D2L is telling you why you should care about selecting them as an e-learning solution, right? So with that, I'm going to stop there to see if there's any questions, any comments. All right.
Viviana?
Yes.
I will complete what you mentioned, adding like the benefits that our customer can get from our what, you know. But maybe that would be like inside of the what, but to me it's very important, like to show what is the result of that.
Of course, right? And that is important to showcase, and thank you for bringing that up, right? Like, in the what, show customer success stories, right? Like, showcase those are important for your value proposition, showcasing what other people are caring about using your product, and what are you delivering. So that is a great point. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
All right. And from there, like, knowing your value proposition, right, you start building your business strategy. We already touched point in module 1 about the market and how you determine where to compete in the market, how to size your market, right? How to profile your customer and understand how your customer looks like, right? And how to adjust your product or service for Canada, right? Like, and that is the session that Danny Ho hosted for you guys, right? Like, describe how your product needs to be, let's say, adjusted to compete here in Canada. And based on the industry trends that we saw from Erin today, now you understand a little bit better what are the key components or the key trends that are moving the technology business in Canada, which will help you kind of like refine that product service adjustment, right? So we already saw this in module 1. So I will ask you to please go and read the meeting notes and explore the links where you can find tools, accesses, and other links. And if you don't find what you're looking for, please reach out to me and we will do our best to help you close that gap. And then from here, it starts like what we will discuss even further in the next modules, right? So the first point is your pricing strategy. how to find the ideal price for you. And then there's 3 things that you can do to define your price. One is doing customer research and kind of like do customer market research, asking like how much would you pay for this product, right? The second piece is doing benchmarking, and that's why we have the industry trends first, so you can see which are the competitors that are like key, let's say, companies or competitors in each of those trends, so you can go and explore them, right? Explore their websites and benchmark how much are they asking for their service or product, so you can help have like a guidance of how much should I price my product based on how the competitors are actually pricing their product, right? And then the third one is just like the more like practical and say theoretical, right? Like doing like your math, right? Like, are you gonna do cost plus margin, or are you gonna do backwards? You want to have like this type of profit and then like deconstructing your price, right? So there's certainly financial models, and I'm also putting some links in the research where it can show you how to like build your pricing using those type of financial structures. But for me, the best way is to research your customer, like how much are they willing to pay, and then and doing some benchmarking would be the best way, and kind of like adapting. And if you remember the example or like the business case that we explored last time, they did it through customer research. Then market strategy. It is the second piece that you need to start building. And marketing strategy is not only related on how you promote, let's say how you advertise, is much deeper than that. Obviously, it encompasses how you promote your business or service, like even if you're going to do normal advertising, if you're going to do digital advertising, if you're going to do like word of mouth, or if you're going to have like maybe here some participate in some fairs or things like that, right? So it would depend on how your marketing strategy would be, right? But it also encompasses how will you generate leads? How will you capture those leads? Like, are you going to have like a CRM to capture those? Are you going to have a type of process to capture those? And how you will convert like those leads into revenue, right? Understanding like what is the best way that after doing all of that marketing, how do I close the deal, right? And that is your marketing strategy. And it's based on your value proposition, right? Like every collateral, let's say for digital marketing, has to include why customer cares. And that's why I started with the value proposition. And then part of caring about the customer, and that it also needs to be documented in your marketing strategy, is your customer loyalty program. How are you going to support your customer, like going into Canada? Like for example, if they have a bad experience or the product or services is not accomplishing what the customer require or what the company required, how are you going to solve those types of issues? Are you going to have a sales representative here? Are you going to have a partner here or a vendor that is going to help you with that? Those things are important for you to document in your marketing strategy. Then the final point of your one of the final points of your strategy is your distribution, right? Like you need to describe how your customer is gonna get your product or service, right? Is it gonna be through a platform? Is it gonna be directly in your website? Are you gonna have like a partnership with someone here in Canada, or are you gonna utilize a vendor, right? Like how can customers access your product or service, right? And this is also based on your customer buying behaviors. And when you're kind of like defining your customer or your buyer persona, is like how do they like actually buy the product or service? How do they hire the talent, or how do they like, I don't know, outsource content material that they want to build? You need to start outlining those so you can have a distribution model that you can share with your customers, so they feel comfortable when they are signing with you. They already know how they're going to get your product or service. And then the final piece is your sales strategy. Based on your value proposition, you need to position really well your sales solution. Either is it going to be through an e-commerce? Is it going to be directly on your website? Are you going to have sales representatives? Are you going to have partners? And something that it is very important for the sales strategy to outline is how are these people, or how is this website conveying that value proposition, that solution for your product and services, and why are you better than your competitors? And as I said before, the line of conduct for all of these strategies, or these key pieces in your go-to-market strategy, is the value proposition. So with that, all the strategies combined, right? Like kind of like create your vision statement. It create like your cornerstone to tell people and to tell your customers, where are you going, right? And I want to show you an example that I took from a Canadian company. It is an e-commerce. We have talked about it before. And this example outlines end-to-end what I just showed you that is key for you to document. So bear with me while I open this. I think all right. Yeah, so this is based on Shopify Q3 results, but when they present the results to the investors, right, they do it in a way that they outline their own business plan. So they start like with the contents, of course, of what they're going to do, but they discuss their like future statements, right? Like how, for example, COVID-19 pandemic impacted their organization, what they're looking for in the future, and kind of like they represent what you're gonna walk through during their business plan. So I'm gonna leave you this for you to read, so you can have like a sense of how companies kind of like create like that go-to-market, right? As you know, Shopify is an e-commerce solution, and one of like the key messaging that they said, like they say as the value proposition for them, is that retail is changing, right? And they start telling you a story. Of course, there's design here, and I'm not gonna deep dive. You may have your own collaterals, but in here they start with their value proposition: one platform, every channel, any device, and they show you like kind of like things that they do or that they connect, like the storefront for like Facebook, for Amazon, for brick and mortar type of companies, or online, right? So they are not only telling you like why they do it, for like who are the value proposition, like who are they trying to target, right? Like pop-up customers, this is anyone like you and me, right? Or big companies, or brick and mortar, like very like let's say all companies and online stores, right? And then from there they say, we want to offer a single integrated back office, right? Like they not only do a storefront, they also do a back office to manage payments, capital, marketing, analytics, applications, inventory and fulfillment, order management, and shipping. So they're saying it's not only an e-commerce solution, we are integrating this, right? And as you can see here, they are doing it in a succinct way. And I want you to get there when we finalize this step one, you get to there. Then, as I mentioned before, on module 1, we talk about our market, right? Like they specify what is the market that they are trying to target. right? So they are saying Shopify is the entrepreneurship company for all merchants of all sizes, right? So they said, this is our companies, and they are not only telling you which is the market that they're trying to target, they are also telling you the pricing, right? So they're telling you we have a basic subscription is $29 per month, is for entrepreneurs. We have Shopify that is $79 per month, and is for a small medium business. We also have an advanced solution that is $299 per month, and it targets like between SMBs and larger companies, or Shopify Plus that is $2,000 per month, and it will have like more things, right? So they are telling you our market is this, right? We are trying, like, what is the capturing of that market, right? Like, we are trying to address 78 billions of that market in SMB, right? And they are telling you, this is our target. This is what we're trying to grab. And I want you to get there in your business plan. Then they are telling you, when we talk about module 1, is like, I already show you their product. They like the 2 types of products that they sell. I already show you the type of customers that they are trying to target. They are also deep diving into the market, and then they discuss the marketing strategy. As I said during the module right now, they are telling you this is going to be our marketing strategy for each of the like segments that we want to target in that market. So we're going to do word of mouth, studios, and search engine marketing for entrepreneurs. We're going to do digital advertising, blogs, content marketing, and post sales in SMB. And for larger brands, we're going to do global events, partner affiliates, and we're going to have like a Shopify Plus sales that I imagine this is like a benefit program. So as you can see here, they are describing to you what is the marketing that they're planning to do to reach customers. And that is exactly how like you gain not only the trust of your customers, it can also help you get investors if you're trying to raise capital. Then I don't know who included the what, but they are doing a profile for each of the customer segments. So telling user stories, or what and how and why we do what we do, trying to profile and give some examples of this is a merchant profile in our entrepreneurial segment, right? And they showcase their story. They do the same for the SMB, right? Like, and they talk about like, this is Pernell Cesar and Rod Johnson, and these are the things that differentiate this e-commerce platform from anyone else, right? Like, they are telling a story like, we do care about our customers. This is a story of why we care, right? And then they put here like, oh, and these are the larger brands that have trust us like with their e-commerce, right? And these are brands that you know Jameson, you know Heineken, of course, you know Telefonica because we have Telefonica. Who doesn't know Heinz? So those are the things that speak volumes when you're trying to sell a value proposition. And then they tell you a story of product innovation, right? They tell you when they started and where are they trying to go, right? And this is something that it will be important when you're trying to describe your product roadmap as well. And then they deep dive into how they are gonna extend, right? Like, they are also telling you, yes, our product is here right now, but these are the capabilities we're bringing forward, right? Like, and that is as well something that we mentioned when we were discussing the product and service when you're adapting it, right? Like, how are you gonna improve it, right? Like, you have a minimum valuable product today. Like, what are you gonna do to continue to improve? Show those roadmaps to your customers, right? And also, in this case, they said like, hey, we have a growth-minded culture. This is our workforce. This is why we are so competitive. Like, we are also investing in our workplace, right? Like, we are innovating to make people that work at Shopify happy to work, to be here, to work here, right? And then they focus on the numbers. That we will discuss this piece in module 6, but they show you their numbers, right? Like, why are they strong and competitive marketing position compared obviously to the big Amazon, right? Like, they are second, and they are showing you like how do they compete in the market. They are showing you how like the consistent growth in revenue, and that is something that you need to also sell. So we're going to discuss this in module 6. I'm just going to flash out here some of those key diversification and subscription solutions, go to market grow, profits and growth, and then improving the operating leverage, and things like that. So this is more into building the story of why you should select Shopify as their e-commerce solution. And then building for the long term, right? Like, we have a core platform, we are expanding to this, and this is where we ambition to be. And this is like their mission statement. And as you can see here, the combination of all of the strategies that we just discussed become your vision statement, because we have this strong pricing strategy, this strong marketing strategy. Our ambition is to be this, right? And then there's more information, but this is more like for an e-commerce solution. But I will send this example along with the notes today, so you can see how you can structure your own business plan and your own business proposition to enter Canada, right? So you can make your solution or your product service like competitive here, right? And then in the appendix, they're just like their non-GAAP financial measures, and that is something that we will discuss during our module 6, but that's how I end up. At the end of this module, for the person who was asking what is the end outcome? This is the end outcome. I want you to, at the end of this program, to have a document like this, to have a strategy like this, where you can outline, this is going to be my strategy to enter Canada. So with that, I want to thank you all. So I have finalized. I will open the line for any questions. Do you have any questions for me? Did I left you speechless? Pedro, I see your hand is raised.
You hear me at this moment? I just want to double check.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I guess that is really interesting to see how consistent is the processes from the marketing. Here, maybe Shopify is kind of focused in a massive market, while maybe in the case of my company, for example, or maybe some of the companies that are in the group, we are focused in really specialized markets where people is not usually going to a website, like a generic website, where you need to develop some kind of trust. Okay? So my question here is, how often, based in your experience, Colombian companies or maybe companies from Latin America, are they entering to the Canadian market with partners, or are they entering and developing all these trust that I mentioned to you directly? Because I know that it's hard, especially for Canadians, that they want to see a Canadian domain name, they want to see a really Canadian payment gateway, something like that. So just want to see how often do you see this one happening? Because this experience with Shopify get me some numbers, but it's not really close to my market.
Yeah, and I was just showing the Shopify example to to show you how Canadian companies like showcase their value proposition, because this not only happens on large companies as Shopify, it also happens in small, medium companies that you see that they structure their business plan or their value proposition the same way. Now, as I mentioned before, when we were profiling the customers last week, one of the main customer behaviors or company behaviors here in Canada is that we rely a lot on online researching, and we still have Erin on the line, and she can attest to that. So having an up and running website and a secure website with your, let's say, your business strategy is very, very important to gain Canadian trust. I don't know, Erin, if you would like to comment on that.
Yep, I can definitely jump in there. I do think it's critical, even if you are playing in a very small niche market, you don't necessarily have a lot of competitors. I do still think it's important from a credibility standpoint, even if it's just in building those partnerships in Canada. Maybe ultimately you do want to partner with another organization, but I think as much as is feasible and reasonable, if you can really sort of bolster that online presence, I think it will be all the better for your success.
And then for the second part of the question, I will let Luis Felipe, that is managing the Canadian pro-Colombia relationships here. Maybe you can tell us about like how Colombian companies that have come to Canada, if they have succeeded in the market and how.
Well, I mean, in the case of Canada, and us having the whole picture in the North American hub, we've seen a trend of Colombian companies going to the US and actually establishing themselves, having a sales operation there or a sales teams there. And I mean, starting this year and maybe last year, 2019 and 2018, companies started to get interested in actually exploring to Canada and playing as a local. So we're actually figuring out how's the best way. Like there's no trend, there's no companies to follow. I mean, we're starting to create our footprint here in the market. But I mean, some of the companies that have arrived are many led by stakeholders whose personal interest is Canada, because they like to be here and they want to start their own business. But nowadays, the world is seeing opportunity in establishing here in Canada to take advantage of all the resources Canada offers. But of course, the best way to enter a new market is via a local company who has already been in the market for a few years. So that being said, I mean, there's not a unique answer to it. I think the best way to understand a market is developing, business relationships with other companies. And I mean, you have to network with Canadians and be present in LinkedIn and building trust. That's how we start to create trust. So that's my suggestion to start doing that. And
yeah, but maybe just to complement my question before, and again, this is generic information. What I'm looking for, it's maybe Europe, and maybe you want to go to Spain, or you want to go to France. In some of the places, it's most common that sometimes you really need to have a local partner if you want to be good the second year. And that really depends of the local culture. So that's what I am looking for here. It's if you guys have some kind of background, previous experience from other companies, are they establishing, because that's really expensive, we have to be honest with that, or are they developing this kind of partnerships to alternative channels? So how is that happening? And how is the Canadian market open for these kind of additional companies coming to their place? So that's what I'm looking for. Sorry if I am really
maybe I can
because
shed some
global
light.
questions, that helps, but I guess that we are looking for something more specific.
So maybe I can tell you a little bit about my experience. I work out of what it's called an innovation lab, and in that lab we are approached by multitudes of companies doing different kinds of solutions, whether for retail, security, new ways of marketing. And I have to tell you, the way it's been done, it's pretty much on par with the same way business has been always been conducted, and that means knocking on doors. That means looking through your network, figuring it out, looking for the companies that you can identify as possible customers, and just knocking on their door and saying, hey, I have this product. Is this something that resonates with you? Can we have a conversation? Can you give me some feedback about my product? Because one of the things that I just heard from you is we have a very specific product for a very specific niche. So my question back would be, does that niche exist here? Are you validating that? And how do you validate it? Well, by searching companies
that's my assumption. So my assumption is that I did my homework. I already have a market and a specific market there. But what I'm looking for here is what are the patterns for these customers in terms of trust, because as I mentioned to you before, depending on the province, depends on the country, for an outsider to go to a new market if you don't have a local presence or if you have a partner. So that's just my question, is how is that, or how often is that used for newcomers, or what is the more frequent strategy for Colombian companies or Latin American companies coming to Canada? Because it's completely different strategy.
Yeah. And I'm gonna take the point, and maybe our lawyer can answer you that question. He has some experience, and Victor, correct me if I'm wrong. He has some experience working with entrepreneurs from around the globe, and that's why we invited him, right? Because he knows about like Canadian law and how other companies are reaching out the Canadian market. So maybe I will pose that question to him, Pedro, because it is an important question, and I want you to get it solved. So the lawyer will be addressing those next week.
I want to make a comment in there, if I may, about your question, Pedro, and maybe it's going to answer it a little bit. In the experience that I have had here, for example, if you work on IT or on software development and you work with something that it needs a grade of security, some of your clients will require that you have an insurance. So, for example, if you are going to make a project that is going to handle personal information that is needed to be secure, and if you are in another country, one of the things that they ask is that you will have, or you will need to have, an insurance. So based on that, it will be easier for you in that kind of project to have somebody here that can get that insurance and be representative for that project. So the answer, or my answer for that question, is it will depend on the project that you will provide, or the product that you will provide. If it's something that doesn't need that kind of security and you can make it from Colombia without any issue or any insurance that it's going to be between, there is no problem, and you can do it directly from there. There is no any issue. You can just operate from Colombia. But there will be some projects like the one that I'm telling you that maybe will require you to have some kind of presence here in Canada, and that will depend on your product or your service. And the lawyer, as Viviana said, he will maybe be able to answer you like in more detail what kind of projects are those, and be like a more legal answer for your question.
Yeah, I guess it would depend entirely on the type of customer you are trying to reach, Pedro. So it is very specific, and maybe I will chat with you offline to understand a little bit better your customer research and kind of like help you out, like doing some research. Yeah, it would depend, as Victor says. It will depend on the nature of the business you're trying to reach. All right, is there any more questions from the team or? All right, before you go, I want you to go really quickly. Let me know when you can see my screen. If you can provide me with your feedback. So as last week, if you can go to paulev.com/Viviaguirre179 and please tell us how satisfied were you with the content this week. All right, with that, I let you go for today. Thank you very, very much for this week, and we will see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.